The auditorium erupted in applause as Senator Eleanor Vance stepped onto the stage, her smile as polished as her pearl necklace. But in the front row, her son Easton Vance felt his world shatter when she locked eyes with him and said, "My golden son will carry on our legacy of family values," knowing full well the secret he'd confessed to her just hours before. As the crowd cheered, Easton's phone buzzed with a text from his boyfriend. "Mark, I'm proud of you for telling her. We'll face this together." But Easton knew the storm was just beginning. Easton had always been the perfect son. Raised in the affluent suburbs of Washington, D.C., he excelled in everything. Top of his class at Georgetown Prep, captain of the debate team, and now a rising junior at Harvard studying political science. His mother, a Republican senator known for her staunch conservative views on family and marriage, had groomed him for greatness. "You're my legacy, Easton," she'd say, her voice laced with pride and expectation. But beneath the facade, Easton harbored a truth that clawed at his insides. He was gay. It started innocently enough during his freshman year at Harvard. Mark Thompson was a literature major from a modest Boston family, with messy brown hair and a laugh that could light up a room. They met in a philosophy class, debating ethics and morality late into the night. What began as intellectual sparring turned into stolen glances, then secret coffee dates. Mark was out and proud, unapologetic about his identity. "Life's too short to hide who you are," he'd tell Easton, his hand brushing against Easton's under the table. But Easton couldn't afford to be open. His mother's career hinged on her image as a defender of traditional values. She'd sponsored bills against same-sex marriage, spoken at rallies decrying the erosion of the American family. Coming out to her wasn't just personal. It was political dynamite. Yet, after 2 years of loving Mark in the shadows, Easton couldn't bear the weight anymore. That morning, before the fundraiser, he'd sat her down in their Georgetown townhouse. "Mom, I need to tell you something," he'd said, his voice trembling. Eleanor had looked up from her briefing papers, her sharp blue eyes narrowing. "I'm gay, and I'm in love with someone. A guy named Mark." The silence that followed was deafening. Eleanor's face drained of color, then hardened into a mask of disbelief. "This is a phase, Easton. You've been influenced by that liberal campus. We can fix this." Her words cut like knives, but Easton pressed on. "It's not a phase. It's who I am." She stood abruptly, pacing the room. "Do you have any idea what this could do to us? To my re-election? You're my golden son, the one who's supposed to stand by me." Tears welled in her eyes, but they weren't from sadness. They were from fury. By the time they arrived at the event, she'd composed herself, acting as if the conversation never happened. But as Easton sat there, listening to her speech extol the virtues of strong traditional families, he felt invisible, erased. After the applause died down, Eleanor pulled him aside backstage. "We'll discuss this later. For now, smile and shake hands." Easton nodded numbly, but inside, a fire ignited. He wouldn't be silenced. That evening, back home, the confrontation exploded. "How could you do this to me?" Eleanor shouted, slamming her fist on the kitchen table. "I've sacrificed everything for this family, for you." Easton stood his ground. "This isn't about you, Mom. It's about me living honestly." She laughed bitterly. "Honesty? In politics? You're naive. If this gets out, it'll ruin us both." Mark called during the argument, but Easton let it go to voicemail. He couldn't drag Mark into this mess yet. The next day, Easton met Mark at their favorite spot in Cambridge, a quiet bench by the Charles River. She freaked out, Easton confessed, staring at the water. Mark took his hand. "Give her time. Parents come around." But Easton shook his head. "She's not just a parent. She's a senator. Her whole platform is built on opposing people like us." Mark's expression darkened. "Then maybe it's time to choose. Her world or ours." Easton's internal conflict raged. He loved his mother, admired her drive. She'd risen from a single mom in rural Virginia to a powerful voice in Congress. But her love felt conditional, tied to his conformity. That night, he lay awake, weighing the costs. Coming out publicly could destroy her career, but staying hidden was killing him slowly. Weeks passed in tense silence. Eleanor threw herself into work, avoiding Easton during his visits home. She even suggested therapy to sort out these confusions. Easton refused. Instead, he confided in his sister, Lily, a high school senior who was more progressive. "Mom's scared," Lily said over coffee. "But you're brave for telling her." Her support bolstered him, but the pressure mounted. Then came the leak. An anonymous tip to a gossip blog. Senator Vance's son in gay relationship? Easton's heart stopped when he saw it. How? Who? He confronted Eleanor, who denied involvement. "This is a disaster," she hissed. "We need to deny it." But Easton saw the opportunity. "Or I could own it." Their eyes locked in a battle of wills. The scandal spread like wildfire. Reporters camped outside their home. Eleanor's poll numbers dipped. In a desperate move, she held a press conference. "My son is going through a difficult time," she said, her voice steady. "We're supporting him privately." But privately, she begged Easton to recant. "Say it's a rumor. For the family." Easton refused. "I won't lie anymore." Mark stood by him, but the strain showed. "This is affecting us too," Mark admitted one night. "I feel like a secret weapon in your family's war." Easton pulled him close. "You're my everything." But doubt crept in. Was love worth the destruction? As the pressure built, Easton made a decision that would change everything. He agreed to an interview with a major network, ready to come out on his terms. But Eleanor had other plans. The studio lights burned hot on Easton's skin as he sat across from the anchor, his palms sweaty. "So, Easton, rumors are swirling about your personal life," the journalist began. Easton took a deep breath. "Yes, they're true. I'm gay. And I'm in a committed relationship with a wonderful man named Mark." The words hung in the air, liberating and terrifying. The backlash was immediate. Social media exploded with hashtags like Vance Family Values and Golden Son Gone Wrong. Conservative pundits lambasted Eleanor for failing as a mother. Her supporters felt betrayed. At home, Eleanor watched the interview in stony silence. "You've destroyed me," she whispered when Easton returned. "Was it worth it?" Easton met her gaze. "Yes, because now I'm free." But freedom came at a cost. Death threats poured in, forcing Easton to hire security. Harvard's campus became a minefield of stares and whispers. Mark, ever supportive, suggested they take a break from the spotlight. "Let's go away for a weekend," he proposed. They escaped to a cabin in the Berkshires, where, for a brief moment, they could just be two people in love. Lying by the fire, Mark traced patterns on Easton's arm. "I love you, but this is hard." Easton nodded. "I know. Thank you for staying." Back in D.C., Eleanor faced her own reckoning. Her chief of staff, a loyal ally, urged damage control. Disavow him publicly. Say he's influenced by radicals. But Eleanor hesitated. Deep down, she loved Easton, but her ambition clashed with her heart. In a closed-door meeting with party leaders, she defended him weakly. "He's young. He'll come around." They weren't convinced. "Your son's actions reflect on you. Fix it or step aside." The family dinner that followed was a powder keg. Lily defended Easton fiercely. "Mom, he's your son, not a political prop." Eleanor snapped. "You don't understand the stakes." Easton, invited against his better judgment, arrived to find the table set for war. "I didn't come to fight," he said. But Eleanor unloaded. "You've embarrassed us all. How do you think this looks?" Easton's temper flared. "How do you think it feels to be erased by your own mother?" The argument escalated, dredging up old wounds. Eleanor revealed her own past. A brief college fling with a woman she'd buried deep. I chose the right path, she said. You can too. Easton was stunned. So you know what this is like? And you still judge me? Tears streamed down her face. I did it for survival. Politics isn't kind to people like us. That revelation shifted something in Easton. He saw his mother not as a villain, but as a victim of the same system. Yet it didn't excuse her actions. You chose power over authenticity. I won't. He left that night heart heavy. Mark noticed the change. You're distant, he said over dinner. Easton confessed the family secret. It makes me question everything. Mark listened, then asked, Does it change how you feel about us? Easton shook his head. No, it strengthens it. But internally, Easton grappled with hypocrisy. If his mother had hidden her truth, was he any better for forcing hers out? The plot thickened when a rival senator leaked old photos of Eleanor from college, hinting at her experimentation. The media frenzy intensified. Eleanor called Easton in panic. This is your fault. Your coming out opened the floodgates. Easton felt a pang of guilt. I'm sorry, but secrets have a way of surfacing. In response, Eleanor made a calculated move. She scheduled a town hall, planning to address the rumors head-on. Easton watched from afar, Mark by his side. Family is sacred, Eleanor proclaimed. But sometimes, tough love is necessary. Then, the bombshell. My son has chosen a path that diverges from our values. I love him, but I cannot condone his choices. It was a public disavowal. Easton felt betrayed. She threw me under the bus. Mark hugged him. She's protecting her career. But the damage was done. Friends distanced themselves. Donors pulled funding from Eleanor's campaign. Lily called, furious. I can't believe she did that. Easton consoled her. She's scared. The internal conflict peaked when Easton received an offer from an LGBTQ+ advocacy group. Speak at their gala, share his story. It was a chance to turn pain into purpose, but it meant directly opposing his mother. Do it, Mark encouraged. This is bigger than her. Easton agreed, but the decision weighed on him. At the gala, under glittering lights, Easton took the stage. Coming out cost me my family, he said, voice steady. But it gave me truth. The crowd applauded, but Easton spotted a familiar face in the audience. His mother, incognito. Their eyes met, a silent confrontation. Afterward, she approached. I'm proud of you in a way, she admitted. But you forced my hand. Easton's heart raced. What did she mean? Eleanor's words lingered like a threat. Forced your hand, how? Easton demanded, pulling her into a quiet corner of the venue. She glanced around nervously. I'm stepping down from the Family Values Committee. It's the only way to salvage my reputation. Easton's jaw dropped. Because of me? She nodded bitterly. Your speech tonight will go viral. I can't fight this anymore. The admission was a double-edged sword. On one hand, it felt like victory, a crack in her facade. On the other, it highlighted the destruction he'd wrought. Driving home with Mark, Easton vented. She's changing because she has to, not because she wants to. Mark squeezed his hand. Change is change. Take the win. But the win felt hollow. The next morning, headlines blared. Senator Vance softened stance amid sons coming out. Supporters accused her of flip-flopping. Opponents mocked her hypocrisy. Eleanor called a family meeting minus Easton at first. Lily relayed the details. She's devastated. Says she feels like a failure. Guilt gnawed at Easton. Had he pushed too far? He decided to reach out. They met at a neutral spot, a park in Arlington. I didn't mean to ruin your career, Easton said. Eleanor sighed. You didn't. I did, by not accepting you sooner. For the first time, vulnerability showed. I was afraid of losing everything I built. Easton softened. I get that, but you almost lost me. The conversation turned raw. Eleanor confessed her college romance in detail. A passionate affair cut short by societal pressure. I married your father to fit in. It worked until now. Easton listened, empathy blooming. Why fight so hard against it then? She shrugged. Internalized hate. I thought if I opposed it publicly, I'd bury it privately. This revelation humanized her, but didn't erase the hurt. You disowned me on TV, Easton reminded. Eleanor winced. I panicked. I'm sorry. It was the apology he'd craved, but trust was fractured. Mark, sensing Easton's turmoil, suggested therapy. For us, and maybe for you and your mom. They started couples counseling, unpacking the stress. I feel like I'm competing with your family drama, Mark admitted. Easton reassured him. You're my priority now. But doubts lingered. Was their relationship strong enough to withstand the fallout? Social pressures mounted. At Harvard, Easton became a reluctant icon, invited to panels on LGBTQ+ rights. He accepted, finding purpose in advocacy. But it strained his studies, his peace. One night, exhausted, he snapped at Mark over a trivial argument. Sorry, he said later. This is all too much. Mark forgave, but warned, we can't let it break us. Eleanor's career teetered. A primary challenger emerged, branding her weak on values. In a bold move, she invited Easton to join her at a campaign event. Show unity, she proposed. Easton hesitated. Only if you acknowledge me fully. She agreed. At the event, she introduced him, my son Easton, who's taught me more about love than any bill I've passed. It was progress, but scripted. Behind the scenes, betrayal brewed. Eleanor's ex-chief of staff, fired for leaking the photos, sought revenge. He fed dirt to the press, fabricated stories of Easton's wild lifestyle. Easton refuted them, but mud stuck. This is war, he told Mark. They lawyered up, but the toll was emotional. Lily, caught in the middle, chose sides. She moved in with Easton during spring break. Mom's toxic right now, she said. Eleanor felt abandoned. In a moment of desperation, she confronted Mark privately. You're the reason for all this, she accused. Mark stood firm. No, Easton's truth is. The accusation backfired. Easton learned of it and cut contact temporarily. You crossed a line, he texted. Isolation hit Eleanor hard. She sought therapy, confronting her biases. Reconciliation seemed impossible until a crisis hit. Easton's father, long divorced and absent, resurfaced with a heart attack. At the hospital, the family reunited. Life's short, his father wheezed. Fix this. Eleanor and Easton talked honestly. I want to understand, she said. Easton shared stories of his love for Mark. He's kind, smart. Everything you'd want for me. Tears flowed. I see that now. But actions spoke louder. Would she truly change? As Easton left the hospital, Mark waited outside. How'd it go? Easton smiled faintly. Baby steps. But a new conflict loomed. Mark received a job offer in New York, far from Harvard and D.C. It's my dream gig, he said. Easton felt torn. Support him or ask him to stay. The decision tested their bond. Go, Easton encouraged. We'll make long-distance work. But inside, fear gripped him. Was this the beginning of the end? Mark's move to New York was a gut punch. It's only 2 hours by train, he reasoned, packing boxes in their Cambridge apartment. Easton helped, masking his anxiety. Yeah, we'll visit every weekend. But reality set in quickly. Work consumed Mark. Classes buried Easton. Calls grew shorter, texts sporadic. The distance amplified existing cracks. During a rare visit, they argued over Eleanor's latest bill. A watered-down version supporting civil unions but not full marriage equality. She's trying, Easton defended. Mark scoffed. Trying isn't enough. It's compromise. Easton felt defensive. You don't know her journey. The fight ended in silence, a chasm widening. Eleanor's therapy bore fruit. She reached out genuinely. "I'd like to meet Mark properly," she said over lunch. Easton was wary. No ambushes. The dinner at her townhouse was awkward but civil. Mark charmed with stories. Eleanor listened. "You've made my son happy," she conceded. Mark replied, "He's made me better." A fragile truce formed. But society wouldn't let them rest. A conservative talk show host targeted Easton, calling him a pawn in the culture war. Protests erupted outside Eleanor's office. Easton's advocacy work drew fire too. An op-ed he wrote for the New York Times sparked death threats again. "Maybe tone it down," Eleanor suggested. Easton refused. "That's giving in." The moral dilemmas piled up. When a friend from Harvard came out to his religious family and was disowned, Easton saw parallels. He offered support, but it triggered his own trauma. "What if we never fully reconcile?" He confided in Mark during a video call. Mark's response was distant. "Focus on you." Easton sensed something off. The betrayal came unexpectedly. Scrolling through social media, Easton saw photos of Mark at a New York bar, arm around another guy. "Heart-pounding," he called. "Who was that?" Mark hesitated. "Just a friend. But I've been feeling lonely." The confession hit like a freight train. "Have you cheated?" Silence. "Not physically, but emotionally, maybe." Easton hung up, devastated. He'd sacrificed so much for authenticity, only to face infidelity. Confronting Mark in person, tears flowed. "I thought we were in this together." Mark apologized. "The pressure got to me. Your family's drama overshadowed us." They decided on a break, the word like a death knell. Alone, Easton spiraled. He threw himself into activism, speaking at rallies. But emptiness gnawed. Lily noticed. "You look wrecked." Easton admitted the breakup. "I lost him because of all this." Guilt toward his mother resurfaced. Had his coming out dominoed into this? Eleanor, hearing through Lily, offered solace. "Love hurts, but it's worth it." Her words rang hollow at first, but they bonded over shared pain. She revealed her divorce's true cause. Suppressing her identity strained the marriage. "Don't make my mistakes," she advised. Inspired, Easton sought closure with Mark. They met in Central Park. "I still love you," Easton said. Mark teared up. "Me too, but we need time." They parted as friends, a bittersweet trade-off. Back in D.C., Eleanor's campaign faltered. Polls showed her trailing. In a Hail Mary, she proposed a bill for anti-discrimination protections. "This is for you," she told Easton. He was moved but skeptical. "Is it genuine?" She nodded. "You've opened my eyes." The bill passed committee, a small victory, but personal costs mounted. Easton's grades slipped. He considered dropping out. "Don't," Eleanor urged. "Finish what you started." Her support surprised him. Then, the ultimate test. A family scandal from Eleanor's past surfaced. A covered-up affair during her early career. Reporters hounded Easton. "Comment on your mother's hypocrisy?" He defended her. "We're all human." But inside, resentment brewed. Why protect her after everything? The confrontation was epic. "You lecture me on morals while hiding your own skeletons?" Easton yelled. Eleanor broke down. "I was ashamed, like you were." The parallel hit home. They hugged, forging a deeper understanding. As re-election neared, Eleanor made a choice. Endorse full equality. At a presser, with Easton beside her, she announced, "I've evolved. Love is love." Cheers and boos mixed. Easton felt proud, but wary of the price. Mark reached out post-announcement. "Saw the news. Congrats." A spark reignited, but Easton hesitated. Trust was fragile. The election loomed, a referendum on their family. Election night pulsed with tension in the Vance campaign headquarters. Polls closed. Results trickled in. Eleanor paced, Easton by her side. "Whatever happens, thank you," she said. He nodded. We've come far. But victory felt secondary to their mended bond. She won by a slim margin, her evolution swaying moderates. In her victory speech, she thanked Easton. My son showed me the true meaning of courage. The crowd applauded. Easton beamed. But backlash from her base simmered. Traitor, some muttered. Post-election, life normalized somewhat. Easton returned to Harvard, focused on graduating. He and Mark reconnected slowly, coffee dates turning into dates. I missed you, Mark admitted. Easton smiled. Me too. But let's take it slow. They rebuilt, stronger. Yet societal shadows lingered. A Supreme Court case on LGBTQ+ rights divided the nation. Eleanor voted in favor, alienating old allies. It's the right thing, she told Easton. He appreciated it, but saw the toll. Lost friendships, strained party ties. Easton's own choices faced scrutiny. An internship offer from a progressive think tank clashed with family expectations. Politics? Eleanor asked hopefully. Easton shook his head. Advocacy, not office. She accepted. Follow your heart. Internal conflicts persisted. Easton questioned if his coming out was selfish. Did I hurt more than help? He asked his therapist. Change requires sacrifice, came the reply. He pondered the ethics, personal truth versus collective harm. Lily thrived, inspired by Easton. She came out as bi, testing family dynamics anew. Eleanor embraced her fully. I've learned my lesson. The family grew closer, but scars remained. Mark proposed moving back to Boston. For us. Easton agreed, but with conditions. No more secrets. Their relationship deepened, built on hard-won trust. A new challenge arose. A documentary filmmaker approached Easton for his story. It could inspire others, Mark encouraged. But Eleanor worried. It'll dredge up pain. Easton weighed the pros. Awareness versus privacy. He chose to participate, a bold decision. Filming unearthed emotions. Recounting the disavowal hurt. Eleanor joined an interview, tearfully apologizing on camera. I was wrong. The moment was cathartic. Release day brought acclaim and criticism. Hero to some, opportunist to others. Easton stood firm. This is my truth. As life moved forward, Easton reflected on the journey. Love, family, society, all intertwined in a web of choices. He'd paid dearly. A broken relationship mended. A mother's career altered. His own path forged in fire. But was it worth it? The question haunted him. Years passed, but the echoes of that fateful coming out lingered. Easton graduated Harvard with honors, landing a role at an LGBTQ+ rights organization in D.C. Mark joined him, their relationship solidifying into partnership. They bought a brownstone in Capitol Hill, a symbol of their hard-earned stability. Eleanor, post-retirement, became an unlikely ally. She spoke at Pride events, sharing her evolution. I was blind, she'd say. My son opened my eyes. Critics called it performative. Supporters hailed it as progress. Easton appreciated her efforts, but forgiveness was ongoing. One evening, over dinner, Eleanor raised a glass. To new beginnings. Lily, now in college, chimed in. And to honesty. Easton smiled, but inside, he tallied the costs. Strained friendships, lost opportunities, emotional scars. A pivotal moment came when Easton was invited to testify before Congress on anti-discrimination laws. Facing his mother's former colleagues, he spoke eloquently. Hiding who you are destroys souls. The bill passed, a triumph. But afterward, a conservative senator pulled him aside. You've divided families. Easton countered. No, secrets do. Mark's family, accepting from the start, contrasted sharply. Holidays with them were joyful, a reminder of what could have been. Your mom's come far, Mark's dad said. Easton agreed, but pondered the what-ifs. The ultimate awakening hit during a personal crisis. Mark faced a health scare, a routine check revealing a lump. Waiting for results, they clung to each other. "I can't lose you," Easton whispered. The benign diagnosis brought relief, but perspective. "Life's fragile," Mark said. "No more regrets." Inspired, Easton proposed. On one knee in their park, ring in hand. "Will you marry me?" Mark's yes was tearful. Planning the wedding tested family bonds. Eleanor offered to officiate. "If you'll have me." Easton accepted. A full-circle moment. The ceremony was intimate under bright skies. Vows exchanged, they kissed amid cheers. Eleanor beamed. "I'm proud." But post-honeymoon, reality intruded. A backlash article accused Easton of exploiting his story for gain. Golden Sun cashes in. Stung, questioning his motives. "Am I a hypocrite?" he asked Mark. "No, you're human." Lily's own relationship drama mirrored theirs. Dating someone non-binary, facing societal pushback. Easton advised, "Stand firm." It reinforced the cycle of struggle. Eleanor's memoir hit shelves, detailing her journey. Royalties went to LGBTQ+ causes. Easton wrote the foreword, "Love wins, but not without fight." As Easton aged, he mentored others, seeing patterns. Parental denial, societal bias, personal toll. One mentee's suicide attempt shook him. "We have to do better," he vowed. Reflecting on his path, Easton wrote his own book, chronicling the drama. The Price of Truth. In quiet moments, he questioned the ethics. Had his choices been right? The damage to his mother, the strain on Mark, were they justified? The story ends not with resolution but inquiry. Was coming out, despite the pain and division it caused, ultimately the moral choice, or did the ends justify the means in a way that overlooked the human cost?